Hey guys, it's Johnny here with Rigid Outdoors in Minnesota. I just wanted to take a little break from the field and kind of give you guys an update on the past month or so. Sorry, I haven't been kind of slow on the uploads. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update on what's been going on, kind of the movement around the area, see if anything's been happening. So first off, we start late October. Rut's kind of starting to kick in. I've got some nice videos of two bucks fighting. I'll show that right here. As you can see, they're both about, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe 2 years old. Still too young for what I'm looking for. I still got my bow tag for a buck or a doe, and rifle season's coming up, but I got about a week or so before November rifle season opens here in Minnesota. And I was really hoping for the bucks to really start moving, November 3rd through the 10th before rifle season, and it just wasn't happening. These were the two bucks that I was chasing before rifle season. As you can see there, two pretty decent shooter bucks. I was pretty bummed I never got to see or lay eyes on them one time this season. Obviously the season's not over. I'm still going to be going out hunting when the snow starts to fall here. But yeah, pretty disappointing. I saw a lot of young bucks, basket racks, just nothing I would have been excited to put my tag on. So that kind of rolls into rifle season of 2019. I always hunt, me and my family always hunt, and all my cousins hunt down in Staples, Minnesota at my grandparents' farm. It's prime river bottom acreage, really thick, heavy timber, and always managed to pull, one or two decent bucks off of there. This year, I ended up shooting my first nice buck, and here I'll show you a picture of that right here. So that was a pretty exciting morning for me. I had saw the first weekend I saw one nice shooter buck, and it was last light, and it came from behind me, and just the shot didn't feel quite right, and it was through a lot of thick brush, and it wasn't a risk I wanted to take of wounding or injuring that deer. So I decided to pass on that. Pretty discouraging, but again, anything can happen this time of the year. So the first weekend got done. My cousin Braden, same age as me, shoots a 8-pointer, had a 20-inch spread on it. Younger deer, but still one you can't pass up. I'll show you a picture of that one right here. So obviously we were all happy for Braden. That was a pretty nice deer, got a good shot on it, not a lot of meat wasted on that. So then that puts us into the week in between this the weekends, and I ended up taking Thursday and Friday off of school and driving down to Staples, and it ended up there wasn't a ton of movement at the time. The problem is right now in Minnesota is there's a lot of corn standing. Well, there was. And that, we believe, what could have been holding up a lot of the deer activity and most of the movement. Usually we're seeing, 5 to 10 deer every sit, and a lot of people were going out and we were getting skunked. Which, obviously that's just how it was this season, but also it being cold, we were able to get access to a couple of different spots that we weren't able to before by crossing a pond, and that really opened up a couple of different ideas for the opportunities for next season, which I'm pretty sure we're going to be putting a stand up in this corner on this fence line, and it's had a lot of action. We just took a bucket out there and sat, and all the movements within like 20 feet to you, so obviously it's quite the rush. So obviously that helps for next year. Obviously next year we might not be able to get to that spot with it being as cold, but we can always hope and always access it early season with canoe or whatever. So that rolls in to the second weekend, the last weekend of this zone, and it was Saturday morning. Everyone had got down there, and we were all going out on Saturday morning, and out to this stand. It was called the Bone Collector, and it's on a really big oak ridge, and it really dips down into a bowl. I'll put up a picture here from Onyx. No, I'm not sponsored, but if Onyx would like to sponsor this video, so be it. I'd love it. As you can see on that picture I showed you, the line that I drew is that oak ridge, and it drops off about, I don't know, it's probably 30, 40 feet down into this big bowl. The deer are running on top of the ridge, and I'll put a dot kind of where the stand was and where I shot the deer. Ended up being about 80 yards, and he hopped the fence from the neighbors, and I don't know why the neighbors didn't shoot or how they didn't see it, because right after I shot, it wasn't 20 seconds, and they shot, so I hope they got something decent too. Obviously, they probably kicked that deer up to me. I'm not sure if they didn't see it or whatnot again, but obviously I'm thankful for the opportunity to harvest this buck. Like I said, it was pretty exciting. At first I got down, waited about half an hour. This was about probably 7:45 on Saturday morning. Waited about half hour, and I knew right where I hit him, and I watched him in the scope. He hunched up and his front shoulder kind of collapsed in a little bit, and I knew I hit him, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go start looking for blood, see if I can start tracking, because I didn't see him fall, I just saw him take off running. So I walk out there, and I go right to where I shoot him, and I'm looking around, and there's no blood at all to be found. And I couldn't really believe it. I thought for sure there'd be a pretty decent blood trail, because I knew it was right behind the front shoulder, and I knew he didn't go far, but once again, there's always that opportunity of a bullet slipping past, right past the arteries, and it can even have an entry and an exit, and it still would not bleed out. It'd get clogged up with whatever. So that started racing through my mind, and I'm getting kind of worried, and I cover, I don't know, 100 by 100 foot area just by myself walking around, trying to find any sort of blood, and there is nothing to be found. So I go back, head back to the farm, and I go get my Uncle Jay and my younger cousin Lily, and I hung my hat on a tree where I had shot it, or I thought I had dropped the deer, but apparently I didn't. And so I hung my orange hat on there just to mark it, and I'm walking out there, and I get out to the spot, and I'm turning around, and I'm starting to describe what happened to him, and my cousin Lily, she's pointing up the hill, and sure enough, he's laying right there, and I just really couldn't believe my eyes, and I didn't really know what to say. I was kind of shell-shocked, but glad to have Lily along, because there was no blood trail, and I know I would have found the deer eventually, or we all would have, because I would have had help come look for blood, but it was actually 20 yards just north of where I shot it, laying there dead. And I actually took my binoculars, and I put them on the ground from where I shot and scanned the whole area, and I did a complete 360, and I don't know how I missed it, if it was behind a tree at that time or what, but anyway, it was just laying right there, right in the leaves piled up, and getting to put my hands around them horns was just something that I've never got to experience before, and it was just overall just an awesome experience. So I wasn't really happy with tonight's situation. I had wind blowing right at my back, just exactly how I don't want the wind to be. But I kind of just had to go out there just to see if anything was moving, or see if I could find any sort of sign around the area to where these bucks have been moving to, or where any of the deer have been moving to. But we're hopped down, and looked around where I know there's been past sign before, and there was nothing to be found. And a little bit discouraging, to say the least, but I know that they're in the area somewhere. I'm sure they're just locked down with does right now. And like I said, if a doe walks out, then, obviously gives me a shot to shoot it. Obviously, I'm going to take that attempt and hopefully get a good shot on one. But yeah, so it's been pretty slow around here. Like I said, I haven't been able to get out much though, and I think within the next 10 days or so, we're supposed to get a few inches of snow. So hopefully that'll drive the deer more to the food sources when it starts to get dropped down into the single digits and even teens for the temperatures. And hopefully that'll drive them to the food source more, which is all chopped corn out here. So I'm feeling like if I set up a ground blind out here, I'll kind of show you right on this map here where I'm going to set up the blind and where I'm kind of looking out to and where the paths are for the deer to come through. So it is Thanksgiving weekend this week. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you if you watched the end of the video, thanks for keeping her tuned in here with Rigid Outdoors Minnesota. And safe travels everybody this weekend out on the roads. And remember to always dominate the woods.